Good morning and welcome to King Drew's Career Talks. Today we have Ingrid Smith, and I'm going to have her do just a very quick introduction of herself and her career, and then we will have Faith Watson doing the interview questions.
Good morning, students. Good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to see some smiley faces. I totally understand how you guys feel in regards to this new world that we're in as we begin to adjust to a new life. So I want to thank you for being brave, of showing yourself and being here with us today. My name is Ingrid Smith, and my job is that I am what's called a service coordinator. I'm a supervisor where I work for a large state-funded agency assisting individuals with special needs. Those special needs are people with autism, what we call intellectual disability, ID, or we don't use the word anymore, but MR, epilepsy, cerebral palsy, and people who are kind of like borderline, those who have cognitive disabilities that kind of prevent them from grasping onto various things in life. We focus on assisting individuals who need support in their lives through education, vocation, and in their homes. But that's not really what I came to talk about, although that is my job. My role is that I look at helping individuals to really look at their passion and purpose. So how I got into this industry is as I was doing what we now call a gap year. I was taking a gap year from college. I was in undergrad. I studied pre-med at Xavier University, and a lot of you might know about that is because Xavier is a historically Black college university that specializes in individuals who really want to major in the STEMs. When I was in school, it was really focused on medical, dental supports. Now it has broadened to many others, such as public health, um, physician assistants, and many other programs. So I decided to know if medicine was where I wanted to go at that time. So I took a gap year and I started working in a community-based program, helping people with developmental disabilities. And I enjoyed that. It was a lot of training. It was about, how do you take these people who we say are in institutions or group homes or even in their parents' home to give them hopes, dreams, and desires? How do you get them who say, you know what, I want a job? I want to work. I do have the ability to work, but I have some challenges. I need some form of support. And so, what my role at that time, as I'm taking this gap year, was to really look at how can I help these people access their dreams, hopes, and desires. And so I tried the job out for 2 years. I decided then, enough is enough. I want to go and I want to go into public health. So I went off to public health school, went back to New Orleans, tried public health. And then all of a sudden I was like, is this something I really want? My passion and purpose was really in helping people with developmental disabilities. So I came back home a little bit, a couple years later, after doing some more traveling, and then got back into the industry. And what I realized is that my passion is really about helping people find purpose and desire. And so, although this is my day job, my real role is what do I do to help students such as you? We do support individuals that are in schools. My particular role is working with individuals and families from age 14 to 22. So we call that the transition age. That transition is we're preparing them for what is after high school. Do these individuals go to college? Do they get jobs? Do they participate in community programs? Many different things that we look at to help other people access purpose in life. And so as I move forward and I look at, what brings me desire and hope in my job is really talking to the schools. We partner with LAUSD in many areas and looking for training programs for people with autism and other disabilities on how can they get the skills that they need so that they can obtain jobs. What type of life skills training do they need so that they can live one day independently? And what I mean by independently is that they move out of their parents' home. They can move into, if they choose a group home or if they choose to live in an arrangement with a roommate or two, they'll require support. So, how do we look at that? Where do we build the school? Where do we build their skills? And where we really start is in the schools. And so we start in the schools, looking at the classes that they take, assisting them with IEPs, and then we take those IEPs and we say, you know what, you're building these skills at school. How do we generalize them in their home? And so we take the passion that a student may find in their classroom and we bring it into their home. And so we work with community organizations to bring support to families in their home. And that may be helping them to reduce behaviors, helping them to learn how to cook, clean, go to the movies, take the bus, many different things that you guys are doing. These individuals who have these challenges are able to access that. The difference is that they have support. And why I want to talk to you guys about my real job of passion and purpose is because one of the things that I know that King Drew has, that I really love about your program is that you guys really work to build your community. You work to access helping others, mentoring others, finding programs that can help you build your skills for your future development. You find programs that help you build on what type of careers that you may take, like your partnerships with the health programs. And so a lot of our families need that type of support as well. A lot of our families need good health practitioners to help them understand what their diagnoses are. A lot of our families need practitioners that can work with someone who requires 24-hour nursing supports. And so as you begin to look at your life and you begin to look at what is passion and purpose for you, I want you to think about, what does someone who has a special needs would require? Do I have that kind of experience, or do I want that type of experience to help them gather and have a meaningful, purposeful life? So I don't know how many of you have seen people maybe in the grocery stores or in your community, maybe even at a doctor's office or a dental office, that may have someone who has, autism or special needs. And sometimes you look at them and you say, or you might have a family member, and you look at them and you say, oh, wow, what can I do to help them? Oh, what could we do to open up supports with them? And so one of the things that I do with my company is that that's what we do. We look for people like you who want to help in that area. And what I mean, I'm using the word help kind of lightly. I actually want to say have a passion and a purpose to bring change in their lives. And so that's the job that I do, and I call that the job because as you move up and you enter the work world, you're going to realize that a job, if some of you guys might know it, and if you know what a job means, go ahead and put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and say, just raise your hand real quick, or give me a reaction and I'll let you tell me what a job is, and then we'll take that. Okay. Mrs. Thigpen is asking me to have you guys take a break, but there was a chat question that
No,
someone had.
I'm asking you to take a break.
I am.
Ask the first question.
I am. I'm about to. So, but before I take that break, what I'd like to do is I want to answer Mike Quinn's question, which is my role, my job is I am a supervisor for a regional center, and I work with individuals and families who have special needs. Okay, that's my job.
And was your current career your dream career when you were in high school? And when did you see that your career was something you wanted to pursue? So was it like a conversation you had with someone, or an event in your life?
That's actually a great question. That's why I kind of want to talk about this today. Um, I actually was biology pre-med when I was in college. And throughout college, I did quite a few different types of things. I had many different experiences. And when I took that gap year in college, I got this job working in the community, assisting people with special needs. And I loved it. I loved the results that I saw. I loved the happiness that these people who, we look at and say, oh, they can never live on their own or they can never have a job. And it was, um, it was rewarding. So then I left that and I went back to public health school. And I thought I wanted to continue on the medical track. And while I was there, I was missing this. And so I thought that this job would provide me more satisfaction. And lo and behold, almost 30 years later, I'm still in the industry. So yes, I do enjoy what I do. It's a job that changes every single day. So if you're looking for something, it's kind of like teaching, you learn something new every day. You're teaching people to learn things every day. And that's what I love. Yes, there's lots of growth that you can do because it's not only self-growth, it's also growth with the people whose lives you touch. And am I satisfied with my current position? There's many directions in this world of working with individuals with special needs. You can start your own company where you're head of it, you're working with families directly. You can work for an agency such as myself. And yes, there's many different opportunities that you can seek here. You can publish information. So there's such a wide variety of things that you can do working with individuals with autism and other disabilities.
Okay, if you don't mind sharing this with us, could you tell us the general salary of someone in your position slash career, what it looks like?
Well, that's the downside. Just like teaching, those fields that are the most rewarding, unfortunately, aren't the most satisfying in a financial where they say, what is your worth? And one of the things that we're working on is working with our legislation to really change those salaries. But it's definitely a career where you want to have passion and purpose. So I will say on an average, a typical non-licensed, and this industry that we work in is a non-licensed field. So in a non-licensed field, the starting salary could be as low as 45 to as high as 200 or 300,000, depending on what level of your position may be. So yes, it's not a high paying field, but yet it's a rewarding field if that's what you're looking for. And I have to say, it's been very rewarding because I never really realized how much money I did not make until I don't know, until one day I was just like, wait a minute, that's all I made over the years, is because, as I shared before, it's about passion and purpose. The most meaningful thing as you begin to look at a career is that you want to look at what's going to bring me satisfaction. When I leave work or when I finish my day, I lay down and I close my eyes, I want to say, you know what, did that bring me passion and purpose? Do I wake up the next day to say, how do I feel about making this trip to work? Does it make me feel good or does it make me feel like I got to do something else? And that's what my industry brings, at least it brings to me. And those who work in this industry, that's what they share, is their passion and purpose. The next question.
So as we all know, COVID-19 has changed a lot. Could you tell us if your career has changed due to COVID-19, and if so, how is it now? And how was it like before COVID-19?
Oh, actually, COVID-19 has changed us tremendously. COVID-19 has changed us to be more of a crisis management opposed to really going out to the families' homes and doing needs assessment. A lot of our families are afraid. A lot of our families are unsure due to the fact that individuals have special needs. They require a lot of hands-on interactions. They need that stimulation in order to help them grow. And so by us moving to a virtual environment, very similar to you as students, it has changed the way in which their brains operate in changing or learning skills. And so COVID has shown us that we must be more self-reliant. We must look at how we can do things to change our own environment, but yet has also asked us to reach out to others to help us, and learning to depend on ourselves for strength and guidance. As an agency, we continue to bring needs to our families. We continue to help those, our what we call vendors. They have learned new ways to interact with families, but yet we think that we'll get through it because everybody is on the same page, and we're kind of looking at the current need, which is just really giving the families the emotional support that they need. Henry has a question where he's saying, do you feel like your job has given you purpose, or does that work, or does what you work on feed into your life purpose? That's actually a great question, Henry, because I do believe that my job gives me purpose. As I look at families who require additional supports and needs or training, we have families who may have 3 or 4 children. One individual has a special needs. Being able to provide support to that family, to give that mom a sense of relief, or a dad, or even the siblings there, training them on what to understand is definitely rewarding. At the end of the day, being able to see someone who has autism or other disabilities obtain a job and are very happy about the paycheck that they receive, it's definitely very rewarding and brings purpose. So yes, I will say that. 30 years later, well, this year will make 30 years. I'm still doing it, and every day, as I shared, is a new day, and that's what I like the most. Mark Quinn put another question here. Do I feel like you would devote hours of your life daily to what you do if it was a volunteer program? That's an awesome question, because one of the things that a lot of our vendors look for in this industry is that we actually look for students like you. There's an organization called Best Buddies, where Best Buddies partners with schools to provide volunteer training to individuals who are in the classroom settings with special needs, so that you as individuals, or what we would call typically developing individuals, would learn more. And yes, I would volunteer because at the end of the day, I like to see people succeed. It's kind of like what I do when I come here and speak to the school each year about passion and purpose. We don't know. And when you have that person who says, I just really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me, or showing me how to cook a meal, or taking me to the movies or to the park, or developing a friendship circle for me, it's always very special, because everybody wants to feel satisfied. And this organization, this type of work, really does provide that. Okay. What do I enjoy most about my job, and has it ever become overwhelming? That's an amazing question, because yes, my job is very overwhelming. It is, when you work with people's lives, as you guys have all experienced in these last, how many days has it been? 400 and some odd days of COVID, or close to 400 days. when we don't have that personal connection, or if we're in the sense of unknown, like that black hole, and we just don't know what tomorrow may bring, or what grade I'm going to get on that test, or what college I may get into, or is this person going to like me? When you have those feelings of unknown, overwhelming desires, or this overwhelming anxiety is really the word I want to use, comes over you. And so, yes, as you're trying to explain to a family member from the outside how things can be different, yes, you're dealing with that overwhelming feeling. Or if someone is hospitalized and you're trying to bring them home so that they can be in their home and work in their home and provide support with them, it's definitely overwhelming to a family member, because they're not sure what can happen. They're not sure, do I trust this person? So a lot of what I do is about trust. And if you have that sense of anxiety or uncertainty about trusting someone, then yes, you're going to be overwhelmed. But what is rewarding about the job is that when you're able to help identify and solve the problem. What we do is we do a lot of problem solving. So if you guys are really interested in solving problems for individuals, helping them to reach their greatness in many different areas, then this is definitely social work. Community services is definitely the industry you would like to be in. Another question here is, would you change anything about your job? If so, what could it be? Yes, there's many things that I'd like to change. Um, for my job, working with people in special needs here in the state of California, we are governed by the law. We have the legislator. There's a law that says that my organization must provide services to people who qualify. And so part of that law, it restricts us in ways in which we can do things. We have to follow the guidelines of the law. We have to remind families that we have to follow the law. And then also too, as teachers, we have the law that govern teachers. Our salaries are dictated by it. So if you say, what are the one thing that I can change about my job? I would like the law to change so that people can get paid more. That's the one thing. And the second thing is about community outreach, getting people to really understand that individuals with special needs, as we deal with our own challenges of being people of color, or being men, women, it really challenges you when people don't understand that you might be a little bit different. So the other thing that I would love to change is bringing awareness to the world about who we are, what we are, and what we can do. And so those are the things that I fight for. That's where my passion comes in, is when I can talk with individuals about making changes, or coming in and learning about them, watching their success, watching them grow. Because those with special needs, what we find is that when they're given an opportunity, they shine. When they feel as if they are part of the world, they want to prove to you that they can do it. And so I'd like to be able to change the attitude that people feel towards individuals with special needs. Okay. There's a question here that says, has there been a specific experience in your field of work that ever made you consider doing something else? Yes. And my staff and other people that I work with, we talk about it all the time. It really starts with the understanding of what we do, how we do it, the legislation of how we can move service about, the discrimination that individuals face, the attitudes, I'm going to definitely say that people have towards individuals with special needs. And then also the lack of resources. The lack of resources is really challenging, because when you're not able to feel like you can break that barrier and help this family, and when you know that if you only had this little bit of extra that you can succeed, it can be very challenging. And when people discriminate against you, it sometimes they do it in such malicious, mean ways that it's very hurtful. And you say to yourself, well, why do I want to continue? So this is definitely an industry where you want to do a lot of awareness. You want to bring forth change in people's lives. And it's definitely about having a purpose and passion. Okay. Faith, any other question?
Is your workplace orientated? If so, how do you maintain good relations with your coworkers and your colleagues?
You said, is my workplace people oriented?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, you in this industry, you have to love the public. You have to love to do research. You have to love to solve problems. You will talk to people all the time. And there's a leading question here in the chat about misconceptions. It you have to demystify those. You have to work to try to share with others to say, yeah, they may have autism or they may have this disability, but guess what they can do? Guess what they're good at? Why don't we give them a try? You're constantly demystifying and selling people and services. You're constantly selling to parents to say, you know what, we must trust the system to provide the supports. They can do it. Your son or daughter can live on their own. Your son or daughter can take the bus in the community. Your son or daughter can go to the park and sit on a swing or walk or all these many different things. So you're constantly doing that. Some other questions in here about adapt to new situations and effective communication. Yes, all of those things is definitely skills that you would use on a day-to-day basis, because what we do, it's about changing people. It's about changing people's perception. It's about changing people's lives. It's about changing and having effect on what the long-term challenges may be for someone with a special needs. So yes, you would definitely need those skills. You can't be one to say, oh, I just want to sit back. And if you do, the work that you would do where you don't want to interact with people is really finding resources. Your job is going to say, you know what organization would do really well in helping my family? But you still have to call that organization to say, hey, can you do this for John? Can you give this resource to Sally? Can you make all of those things happen? So you're constantly evolving, you're constantly changing. And as I shared, if you're definitely looking for a new experience every day, so I will share with you, every day I come into my office, I have a to-do list. I'm not sure if I can get to that to-do list. And the reason I'm not sure I can get to that to-do list is because in this list, I might get a phone call and something else changes. So at the end of the day, we have a new day every day. I just noticed my lights went out in the office and this is a better view. So you guys can really see me now. Next question, Faith.
Do you see value in students learning things that can help them prepare for their future?
In this industry or just overall?
Whichever one you want to answer. Let's do your industry.
Okay, so I'll answer both. In this industry, yes, we are definitely in need of special ed teachers. We are in need of community practitioners. We are in need of psychologists and physicians and dentists and other medical professionals that really understand individuals who are nonverbal, that may have health challenges, and how do you find supports to help them understand various things about their disability or their health related issues. We need people who can advocate, so community practitioners, if you're interested in sociology or psychology, going into the industry where you're advocating for everyone with special needs. And not just people with special needs, is people who are different from what you see from day to day. So your passion that you would take into your learning is, how do I make a difference to be non-judgmental? And learning how to remove biases that you may have, learning to look at everyone as what I call, what are your abilities? And then we focus on the disability. So really, as you go through your learning and you move forward, especially as those of you who may want to go into psychology, you want to say, what are the skills when I begin to talk to families, or if I'm doing therapy with individuals? The question is, what can you do first? Not just because you see someone with CP in a wheelchair, you don't look at the wheelchair, you don't look at the person who has CP, you look at it and you ask them the question, hey, what can you do? And as they begin to tell you what they can do, then we begin to go backwards and we say, okay, here's where you need the support. And that's how we look for people in this industry. As we hire individuals, as I hire someone, the first thing I do when I'm looking at interviewing or I'm training my staff is I ask them, what is the ability of the person? And then now let's talk about the disability. And then when we look at that disability, we begin to fill that in. So in this career, I say that, but this is also a skill that you can take in anything else. So if you're looking into going into computer science, I would say the same thing. How do you help someone learn those skills about, as you guys have seen, being fearful of the new media that we have, the new way in which we communicate, the new way in which we have to access resources? So it's very important to say, what is that? Okay. A question in the chat says, when you say there are difficulties with resource acquisition, is that for your own day-to-day work, the organizations, or the field in general? And what resources in question? Henry, you have some amazing questions. I've been loving these questions that you've put in the chat. So because we're community-based and we focus on people's lives, it's the community really understanding what we do. It's also the financial compensation that is a financial resource that we need in order to be successful. It's also about a health related, having access to affordable health care, access to trained medical professionals that understand our population, as well as teachers who really understand our population and what type of skills that they should learn. LAUSD has an amazing program that they work with individuals who do have special needs, and they have a program from ages 18 to 22 where they are teaching job-related community-based skills. These career transition centers are amazing in partnering with large employers to provide individuals with meaningful work skills. And so part of what I do is that over the past 5 years is really building those collaborations with corporations and other employers on how they can hire these individuals with special needs. We have found that individuals with special needs are great employees because they are trained to complete a job. And so therefore they're excited about their job. We find that they are our long-lasting employees. And so we like to share that. No offense to anyone else, but they have learned to take pride in the fact that someone has given them a chance, because they spent so many years of their lives being told no. And then when that one person says yes, they really fight to show you for long term. So the resources that we really look for is definitely community-based, financial, and medical. And those are really the struggles that we face. And so we do a lot of talking to individuals and partnering with community organizations such as, schools, so that we can make sure that people are successful. I hope that answered your question. Okay.
So this has been an amazing presentation, and I would just like to ask, what is one key thing that you would like students to take away from this amazing presentation today?
The one key thing, and thank you very much for the feedback. I was a little nervous today. I'd like to say that we need to bring awareness to individuals who are different from you, build partnerships and trust to these individuals, and learn more about how to interact and bring purpose and passion to these individuals that may be different. Supporting the families to let them know that, yes, you may be challenged with a child with a special needs, but there may be other people as well that are experiencing the same thing. How can we partner together? The success of this industry is about partnerships, because if one person is doing something, sometimes that experience is needed for someone else. So as students, I ask that you enter the next phase of your life with an open mind about how can I make a difference in someone's life, and know that that difference you make in someone's life can actually make a long-term investment. And I'm going to share a story with you guys about this journey that I took in this and why I actually came back. So when I took a gap year or two prior to going to graduate school in the early 90s, and I started in this industry, it was just, hey, I'm just going to try this. Let's just see what happens. And then I'm going to move forward into something else. And when I decided to return, public health isn't for me. Let me come back home. Let me figure out some stuff. And I just started, working in other places and doing different things. And then all of a sudden, I ran into a individual who I had actually helped them move from their parents' home into their own apartment. And the joy that I got from that individual remembering me and saying, hey, I still remember, hey, I remember when you took me over here to the movies. I am still going to the church. I love that. And so that's the passion, being able to go back and hear that particular story from someone. And that's just kept my relationships together. So I want to say thank you guys very much for your time, for listening to me, being brave and turning on your cameras. And as always, Ms. Thigpen and all the teachers at King Drew, I really appreciate you allowing me to share my stories and experiences with your students.
Thank you so much, Ingrid,
Yeah.
for sharing your words of wisdom and experiences. Yes, and period two, I am so impressed with your questions as well. They were really great questions. Um, and Tabitha?
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't want to talk over you. Thank you, Ingrid. That was amazing. A lot of great information, and I hope that period two enjoyed it. I do agree. Great questions. And we're sorry that our time is so short on Fridays, but we appreciate you because the other next class is shortly.
No
But
problem.
yeah. So thank you so much, and we will see you again.
Thank you guys. Have a great day.